Welcome back, everybody. Tanya, you look a little bit different, and you kind of look like Vidit Gujrati. Vidit, congrats on that epic comeback for your Indian yogis. How does it feel to win the match and to beat Magnus Carlsen in the process?
When something is less likely and then it happens, then the joy is more. And we started the match very poorly. Like we were trailing by 5.5 to 1.5. And at that point, like the rational just says that Magnus is there, Aryan is there, that they have a pretty easy route to 8.5. But from there, we just, you know, played very well. We fought very hard. And I think the cherry on the top for me was for sure to defeat Magnus because I have had many good positions against him, but this time I managed to convert.
Yeah, it was an epic comeback by you and your team. And well, the Charlotte Cobras, they need to take something from your team's playbook because the Indian Yogis stormed back from that deficit. Now the Charlotte Cobras down 6-2. And Vladislav Artemiev, Sandro Moreko, and Jose Martinez, all a perfect 2 out of 2. So heading into this round of action, where the top board for the Capybaras, Vladislav Artemiev, he gets the black piece against Daniel Naroditsky. Vidit, you know both those players well. Danya needs to strike. What does he have to do? How can he make it happen?
I think the most important thing is to kind of still believe that a comeback is possible. For me, when I was playing, I remembered that Arjun's team was leading 7-5 in the last match, which they played against MVL and Grishuk. And from there, they managed to make it a blitz tiebreak. So for me, that was like kind of an inspiration. So the same thing goes for the Cobras. They still need to believe that they can make a comeback. And okay, I mean, they have nothing to lose at this point.
Yes, they don't. I mean, they just need to go all in, but that's difficult in chess, right? When you need to win games, you start losing your objectivity somewhat. You take risks that are more speculative than objective. So as we see Danya get the white pieces, do you think we're going to see one of the crazier Danya openings, or is he going to just play his normal stuff against such a strong player like Artemia?
I'm very curious because Artemiev is very, very strong. He's very strong in this rapid formats. And I've seen Daniel, his main strength is when it comes below a minute or so. So if he just manages to keep the pressure throughout the game, then I believe in the tense moments he's the better player. But he has to keep the pressure throughout the game to force the mistakes, basically.
And so, what do you make of his opening right now? Because not a single pawn has been traded, no tension between the pieces. He's sort of playing for the long game, as you were highlighting. But Artemiev, that's kind of his strength too, right? He's somebody who loves maneuvering chess and he loves endgames himself.
Yeah, I think Daniel just wants to get a game from the opening. He himself has admitted many times that opening is not his strongest suit. And as long as there is some slight pressure where there are a lot of chances, he would be happy. Um, so I think what you cannot allow is to give Artemiev a slightly better position because then without any counterplay, that's his favorite type of chess. When the opponent has no counterplay, he's very good at it. You have to be careful. Just first initial few moves, early middle game, and the last few minutes. I think that's the key part which will decide the trajectory of the game. I feel.
And this has the feel of Jan Nepomniachtchi against Magnus Carlsen, this early A4 push, the rook sliding to B8. So far, so steady in this position. And something I tend to ask, and Vidit, you just had a big comeback for your team, is how much do you just ignore everything from your remaining boards? And like, are you able to strictly focus on your own game? Or in the back of your mind, are you thinking, well, I need my board 2 and my board 3 and my board 4 to score? Like, how good are you at tuning the rest of the world out when you're playing?
I think I'm very lucky because my team, they there are some very good players. For example, Vaishali, she has been scoring upsets a lot so far. So I know that I can rely on them. So yeah, I am hoping that they will do well. But during the game, I can't really follow their matches. So there's no way that I can follow the matches or score. It doesn't help at all. When I'm playing, I'm just focused on my own game. And after the game, my first thing I do is like check their results, and usually it's good news.
It has been good news. And let's take this moment while Daniel Naroditsky, he's spending some time in the position. We have other games underway. So we can pull up our four-board view and see the other games that have started. Grigory Oparin in the top right against Sandro Moreko. Not a single pawn has been traded there yet. And Sandro Moreko, he's won both of his games for the Capybaras. That's been huge for them. And the bottom left, Jose Martinez, he's also won both of his games for Brazil. He takes on Gabriel Antova. So, Vidit, which of these two games is more appealing to your eyes?
So both the openings have some notes on it. So you can pick any game, and then I would love to comment on it.
All right, well, let's go to Jose just because he had that huge win against Gregorio Parin. When board three is taking down the enemy board one, you know you're in good shape. And, well, White has just castled. White has these double pawns. Teach me. I want to learn from you, Vidit. Give me some
So
of those notes.
so this H3 move is very interesting, which Jose played. It's kind of trendy. It's basically four knights, and now if instead of H3, if White plays D4, if you can just make it on the board, takes
Yep,
ED 94. This is the main line, and Bishop B4
yep,
takes Bishop D3. Right, this is the main line. And if you see, if you compare this position to the game, you can take the live board,
yep.
and it's just the same position with colors reversed. Just you
Mm-hmm.
have this H3 move included. So
Uh-huh.
it's a very subtle way of, playing. Like basically you're black, but you have an extra move with H3.
You're
Rest of it is same.
you're too smart for me, but the pawns, I get what you're saying. It's actually really instructive stuff where you should. And Magnus Carlsen, when I was just in Oslo commentating the Champion Chess Tour, he actually was saying that while we are at the doing pub trivia, some people were talking about chess, and he was saying that you need to think about positions from the other side. It's actually really helpful for top players. So you're right that it's just the position with colors reversed with H3 thrown in. But now that we're here and the pawns are undoubled, we have an extra pawn towards the center for white, this pawn on d4, and for black, we have a more outside pawn. Do you tend to like these positions from either side, or the eval bar says something, but let's ignore that for now. Give me that super GM knowledge.
Um, I would have not played 97. I think it's a bit passive. You have to play like Queen F6, Bishop F5. I don't really have a preference as such in this line. But I think David Paravian, he's a big expert uh, in these structures. For me, I don't mind either colors. But right now, I don't like this move 97. I think it just gives white easy play. Bishop D3, next move C4 is gonna come in. Then the moves are flowing. Whereas for black, it's not clear how you develop. I think that's always a bad sign when your moves are not flowing.
Because the b7 pawn is loose over here, so that bishop on c8 can't get out. 97 was in part played to get bishop f5, but you might have to play a move like b6 first just to develop that bishop. So I'm with you. B6, c4 looks available. White just has better control of the center.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think so far, not, you couldn't really ask for more from
not too
black either.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very slight pressure. I guess we can move to the other games because this is relatively a bit dull.
I love how honest you are. So you already have your commentator cap on. You go from player to commentator. Let's go to the bottom right game between Julia Alboreto and Brandon Jacobson, because in that one looks way more exciting because we have
Is it classical Sicilian?
it's the classical Sicilian. It was a Richter Rouser. We have kings on opposite side of the board, pawn pushes. So Vidit, again, you're going to have to give me that super grandmaster knowledge here. Which side do you prefer thus far?
I like black because for me, I became GM just because of classical Sicilian. So I've played like over 250 games with black and I have great memories. And the funny thing is, like, if we just go to the beginning, just to like the move knight c6, that's
Okay.
what defines classical Sicilian. Uh, just I'll be very short. And if you think about it, the main line is knight off, which goes a6. But if you, when I was young, what I was taught that you have to develop pieces, and for me, a6 did not make any sense, and that's how I picked knight c6. Like, I mean, why is everyone playing knight off? You have to develop your pieces. Knight c6, go for the king, and that's why I liked it, and it gave me many wins. But now I know that it's suboptimal, but in rapid, it's a great weapon.
Oh, I like this. So Vidit played by the rules. He listened to his teachers. All of you at home who are watching, you listen to your coaches. You develop your pieces. You play towards the center. And speaking of playing towards the center, D5 played by Brandon Jacobson. Clear. He wants to open up this bishop towards the F3 pawn. And if he could sit his bishop in the center, that would be good. But White can also hop a knight into D4 and things like that. So Vidit, you're the expert here. You know, you played this classical Sicilian your whole life. D5 break, is this good or does it give White some chances?
I think only if you can play usually e5, or if there is something very concrete, um, it should be like good for white. Otherwise, if you manage to play ed5, bishop d5, and cement it, as how Peter Lico likes to say, cemento, and then it's very very good. But right now, I'm a little bit confused, as I don't see why white is supposed to be slightly better, which is according to the eval bar. I don't see something very obvious. Uh,
Uh,
for
it
example, ED bishop d5, knight f5. There is bishop f3. So I mean,
yeah.
I'm a little bit confused. Maybe knight b3. I don't know.
I maybe is D takes E4 not a threat because knight takes E6 in some positions. I know it's a little bit difficult for some of our viewers to see, but the queen and the rook line up towards this knight. So if this knight's out of the way, this knight will be loose back on D7. So maybe there's some move here. I'm tempted to just go like this in a must-win situation. For well, I guess Black needs to win. He's on the Cobras, but I'm just throwing my pawns forward, and she doesn't. She plays a little bit more restrained.
Yeah, and you can see, right? The evaluation bar just dropped. Once you get like your bishop, you have to be very precise to punish. But right now, it's like a dream classical Sicilian for black.
Yeah, as Vidit was saying, knight f5, bishop takes f3. That's the problem. Is both rooks will be under attack, so black gets to steal that pawn with interest. So I don't really know. Is h4, h5 too slow? That's all I know. I don't know any theory here, but Vidit, I know you're supposed to throw your pawns up the king side.
I mean, yeah, with little bit of caution. Like just bishop e2, knight e5, bishop e2, just you have to be a little bit safe as well. And like I just had an overview of all the games. Things are not looking so good for the Charlotte team, isn't it?
No, they're down 6-2. Well, since you mentioned the overview, let's zoom out to our four board scene here where it's 4 point lead for Brazil. They need 2.5 points. They can win in this round. And, well, I guess you were saying the top left, Danya, looks like he has a slightly
Yeah,
worse position against Artemiev as well.
exactly. I mean, that's exactly what you should not get against Artemiev, as I said. Risk free, slightly better position. He's not going to give you chances here. So I have little hope from that board. Oparin has, you can see like it's little bit, anti-positional. Like I think because of the 2-9 situation, he has gone this f3, f4. But objectively, he's also not doing that great. So yeah, I'm a little bit worried for the US team.
Yeah, the Cobras are in trouble. Let's actually go to that board two. Board one for Cobras is Gregorio Parin versus board two for the Capybaras. That one is interesting because there's that knight on e5, which looks super duper strong. But as you were just saying, Vidit, there are a lot of holes in the position on these light squares for white because the pawns are in dark squares.
I think the beauty of this position is that you don't need to do anything with black. Like if you make a move like knight e4 or something, you kind of force white to play bishop e4 and then dc5. You help him open up. But if you just maintain the status quo, I don't see a clear plan for white. If he plays g4, g5, it's for the weakening, and then you can capitalize on it. So you just need to, keep the pressure, keep the momentum. Like cd4 maybe is also move with the threat of bishop b4. You have to keep
Oof.
an eye out for it, but I'm not sure if it works now. But even if you make a waiting move, it should be fine for black.
Yeah, no, it seems like black is very solid. The hanging pawn structure, not that big of an issue because black has counter threats because white has pushed so far. But it's what you need to do. If you're the Cobras, you need to play advanced chess to mount this comeback. And, well, Vidit, I appreciate you hopping on with me, covering some of the games, talking about your win over Magnus. It's been a pleasure, and we look forward to seeing you more in the Pro Chess League.
Yes, thanks, Robert. See you.